if it was a factual piece of measure or a factual measure that Labour knew, right, absolutely knew, if they do not abolish tuition fees, they will lose the next election. Do you think they'll be abolished or not?
They would.
They'll be
They
gone,
would 100%.
Right? There'll be no excuses saying they can't do it. There'll be no excuses saying they can do it. They'd be completely removed.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Young Politics podcast. Joined by someone who is getting extremely popular around the Green Party and extremely popular on an international level, Dylan.
Thank you. I mean, well, definitely London-wide for now. Grafton Green Party-wide for now. So we'll see.
Very
about
humble, by the way.
Nah, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah,
Us as young people view politics in a certain way. I think us as a young demographic feel about certain political topics in a certain way. I think regarding certain topics that are very meaningful to us regarding student finance, we understand how the interest rates have been outrageous and the payback on student loans have been outrageous. What do you think regarding that?
I mean, it's not my area of expertise, I'll tell you that, but I do have to pay them, right? I mean, my people who are older than me slightly always tell me about the great betrayal about Nick Clegg, who conceded to Conservatives in introducing the tuition fees. Was it 2010 onwards, apart from there? And when I actually think about the fact that people before them weren't paying anything, or in the decades before weren't paying anything, and now we're paying £9,000 a year, which is going up to £10,000 a year with interest. I mean, if you want your population to be educated, which is what the West prides themselves for, but they're now going to charge me as if I'm taking out a bank loan to be educated, I feel like it's a stab in the back. It's very similar to the whole thing with benefits, about calling people benefit bum. In order to grow your population, each individual needs to have over 2.4 to 2.5 kids, right? Each individual needs to have 2 to 3 kids. If a large amount of the population can't afford to have kids, like you're starting to see, and people don't have kids, you're going to have a situation like Japan where you have an old population and then less of people who are younger, and then you have an issue with things like pensions, right? You're going to start declining as an economy. So you're not just doing these things for the sake of it, right? But for some reason, there's an issue in this country at the moment where we see providing services like tuition fees on a free basis, providing things like benefits to people who need them on a free basis as a negativity, as like a downfall, when in reality the reason why we do them is on purpose, so we don't end up being in a worse economic situation in the future. But tuition fees as a whole, especially having interest on it, is a piss take on top of a piss take. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100% agree with you regarding that. I think most people, from what I'm seeing on social media, most people are paying around 56,000 British pounds to pay off their student loans in 3 years. They've done a 3-year course or a 3-year university degree, and they're paying around 56,000, 75,000 British pounds. I think it's unacceptable, especially as a young person who is trying to find work with work opportunities not available due to them wanting experience. How are you supposed to get experience when there's no opportunity for your experience? I think it's outrageous how you're starting your life with £75,000 in debt, with no job, trying to find a job, and when you eventually do find a good paying job, you're gonna have to start your life with £75,000 in debt, which I think is ridiculous.
No, I get what you're saying, 100%. I mean, 9 times 4, because my bachelor's will be 4 years from international studies as well. That's 36 grand for bachelor's by itself. And there are many people who have graduated who are now 24, 25, 26 years old who very much struggle to get into a job market, right? They're very much struggling to get in an over-competitive job market, right? Even things like degree apprenticeships are a highly competitive thing to get into. Where you compare us to other countries, that's not always the case. Combined with our very high cost of living, with even food, with rent, with service charges, I mean, you're looking at a ridiculous level. I've seen McDonald's applications that have asked me for 2 years experience.
Yeah, it's
Why
crazy.
would I apply to somewhere with 2 years experience to McDonald's?
It's
Tell me
crazy.
why that makes sense. Like, the fact that someone with a degree in anything should be forced to work a job like McDonald's or Burke King, and I'm not sure anyone who works at Burke King or McDonald's.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I get
but
that.
if you have a degree and you pay the 27 up to £36,000 to work a degree, you should be making £10 an hour. Do you know what I mean? That should unlock new doorways. Now, you can disagree with that system overall. That's a different question, right? But the fact that you have to be forced into that avenue to even get a job because you're waiting for a job, think of how that actually makes sense long term, right? How do you pay your rent on £12 an hour? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's also inclining more people not to go to uni in the first place.
I think now there is a discussion about, is university worth it?
A lot of people say no.
And like you said, a lot of people are saying no because, first of all, I'm starting my life with £75,000 of debt or 65 or whatever that amount is outrageous. And I think personally, one of the solutions could be maybe to say, okay, cool, student loans, maybe we should make it possibly, we won't charge interest if you are working in the UK, but if you decide to move abroad, that's when we will charge you interest. I think it should be interest free.
I mean, I don't think tuition costs should be a thing full stop. I mean, they didn't used to be. And Scotland, last time I checked, Scottish individuals who are born and raised in Scotland don't pay university charges either. They don't pay tuition fees either, right? I mean, maintenance loan is a separate issue, but tuition fees themselves to go to university is a net benefit on the economy. People who go to university pay more taxes due to unlocking better job opportunities. I mean, if you create those opportunities, you educate those people for free, long term they pay off in the hundreds of thousands, not just tens of thousands. Do you know what I mean? So it's a long-term issue. But if you want to play antics of you're lazy, you don't want to pay for this, you don't want to do this, I mean, you start to decline. Do you know what I'm saying? So I would argue that tuition fees should be abolished full stop, right? They should never have been introduced, but that's going to be quite difficult now.
100% agree with you regarding, I think the system is broken. Yeah. I think it needs change. I think the Labour government doesn't want to change. Looking at Rachel Reeves, what her comments on the situation was, she keeps on trying to say it's not an issue. Student loans aren't an issue, even though we clearly see it's an extremely big issue for young people. I don't think they understand how young people feel regarding it. I don't think they care really about how young people feel. And I think it's a sense of people feel betrayed. It's destroying job opportunities. It's destroying young people's livelihood in actually finding a better future, in actually getting a better future. And regarding that topic, that's how I feel, and that's how many young people feel about it.
I mean, young people don't vote. Young people don't vote at all. So it's and old people do vote a lot.
Yeah.
Which it shows in their policies. I mean, pensioners, for example, will receive pensions and they'll have a triple lock on that pensions, which means it has to rise, I believe it's 2.5% minimum every single year. It's a combination of 3 different measures. Inflation is one of them, and there's 2 other ones. Last time I checked, correct me if I'm wrong. But the fact they have that is because of how much their voter-based weighs, right? If you decided to remove that, right, and change it to a different system where they didn't have a guarantee or a triple lock, right, you would most likely lose that election. Think about the Conservatives, right? That's a large portion of their voter base. However, if everyone the age from 18 to 26, let's say, voted, or everyone of the age from 18 to 35 that voted, I guarantee tuition fees wouldn't be a thing.
100%.
Because they would easily weigh the election. If it was a factual piece of measure or a factual measure that Labour knew, right, absolutely knew, if they do not abolish tuition fees, they will lose the next election. Do you think they'll be abolished or not?
They would. They
would
100%.
Right? There'll be no excuses saying they can't do it. There'll be no excuses saying they can do it. They'd be completely removed. So a lot of the things when they say it can't be done, it'll be difficult to do, right? It would need or require political willpower to pull off, right? But since people our age don't particularly vote, they're not willing to put that willpower forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.